Hey y'all, welcome back to our channel. Just a reminder, this is the last week to enter for your chance to win a signed copy of Edge of the Veil. We're giving away 2 signed copies plus 3 e-copies. So make sure you subscribe to our channel. Go down in the bottom, you have to fill out a really quick form with 2 questions and you're entered to win. Good luck. With that being said, let's talk a little bit, about romance books and making sure we have a plot in them. It's kind of important. Boy meets girl and falls in love is a terrible plot for any romance. Bad idea. It's not going to sell. Nobody's going to want to read it. That's called life. There has to be a plot. There has to be something else at stake here. So we're going to talk today about how to do that and make it work with your story so that you are standing out above all the other romance stories.
Did you know that 60% of readers are women? All readers, not just romance readers, but all of them. That's crazy.
That's a lot of, and women are driven towards something with a romantic plot. We know that because we always get made fun of because who loves rom-coms? The ladies. Not saying that guys don't love this stuff too, but that this market is really driven by women. So
it's funny because I've said before, you've said before, if it doesn't have a romance in it, I'm not going to read it. Like it's got to have some kind of romance. My husband and I talked about this the other day. He's the exact opposite. He's like, I could give a shit about the romance. I don't care.
I know I've seen women, especially on Wattpad, that they're like, do not, they used to have the forums open, I do not want to read something with a romance. So I know there's women out there that don't like it as well, but
that's not the norm.
That's not the norm. Most people are into the romance.
No matter how you publish your story, if you're going for traditional publishing, indie publishing, Wattpad, you need to know that romance is the biggest genre. It brings in the most readers and the most revenue. There has to be something else that's driving it, some other kind of dramatic plot twist or plot device that's being used. It can't just be the love.
Yeah, you want an extraordinary scene for this romance to be unfolding in. If it is something, I always say this, if it's something that I could go peek into somebody's window, be like a pervy, and go look in somebody's window and see happening in their real life, or walk outside of my house and see happening in real life, it's probably not going to make a good story. So the question here then is, how does a plot play into the romance, and what exactly does that look like? We've taken 2 books that we're going to use as our examples, and we wanted to make sure that we use something that reflected the fantasy, sci-fi, paranormal, and something that reflected contemporary. So Rachel's going to use a contemporary because she's more of a contemporary romance reader. And other than lately, I've brought you over to the dark side of fantasy romance.
Yeah, the only contemporary romance I'm reading now is my favorite, Colleen Hoover. The rest, everything else I have, like I've got my little stack of books that won't fit on my bookshelf because I've got so many. Almost all of them are fantasy or paranormal.
You did actually pick a contemporary romance with your favorite author, Colleen Hoover.
I'm going to be using Regretting You. The core relationship in this book is the relationship between this mother, Morgan, and her daughter, Clara. And at the beginning of the book, Clara's parents are married, seem happy. And the mother has a sister that is her aunt. She's very close to her. She's got this fiance. They've got a little boy. Everybody seems really happy, good to go. And in the very, very first chapter, Clara picks up this kid off the side of the road that she knows from school, and it's immediately obvious that that's going to be the love interest. He's funny, sarcastic, like he's a really good love interest. I love him, love his character. Well, then dad gets in a car wreck and dies with the mother's sister. They both die in the same car wreck. The romance adds to the plot, but the main plot is how the mother and daughter are going to overcome the major, major fallout that they're having as a result of this accident.
I chose a really popular book. If you are on TikTok, there is no way that you have missed a mention of From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. It is huge. It is a fantasy romance about a girl named Poppy who is the maiden. She's trying to remain worthy of the gods. And by doing that, she needs to remain maiden-like. And she ends up meeting this guy named Hawk, who she doesn't really know a whole lot about him. And she has, in the very beginning of the book, a little moment with him that she should have never had. And pretty soon she finds out that Hawk is going to be her guard. And that's because their kingdom is being attacked by the Dark One, who has these like zombie vampire-like creatures going on. And so in the midst of trying to be worthy, her kingdom is at war. The thing that I think is really important when you're planning your plot and how you're going to incorporate that with your romance is to figure out whether that plot is going to bring your couple together or if it's going to be something they need to overcome. So for instance, in From Blood and Ash, it actually brings Poppy and Hawk together because he becomes her guard. So now they're working together against the Dark One. So that is a great way to keep another side of that romance going because they have this out of the norm antagonist going on that they need to join forces and at least be on the same page with that.
And for Regretting You, it's definitely the opposite. They have things to overcome from the very beginning. For example, in the teenage romance, the mother does not approve of this boy from the very beginning because she got the wrong impression of him. She wasn't willing to listen and let anything be explained. There was a lot of sort of miscommunication going on. So the two of them, the teenagers, they had to overcome that, and she had to make sure that she didn't sabotage her relationship with her mother any further, which their relationship is very, very, very tumultuous, and throughout the book, it just keeps getting worse and worse. Now, the other romance that I'm not going to spoil for you is a definite have to overcome.
And that whole part right there, the overcoming or the bringing together, I really feel like in a romance, that's the meat right there. I am all about the beginning of the romance. I love the sexual tension, the kind of should I, shouldn't I. That to me is exciting. It adds the anticipation.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think to figure that all out from the beginning, whether your plot's bringing them together or if it's making them have to overcome something, is really, really important, especially I think in a contemporary romance, because that is usually that meat right there of your plot is a internal conflict type of thing for most of them.
The next thing you need to ask yourself is, how do the plot and the romance intertwine? And it should not be the plot weaving into the romance. It should be the romance weaving into the plot, because the plot is the most important. So in Regretting You, as I've said already, the plot is really about the grieving process and how external factors affect that. How the anger at the people that they've lost affects that. How the anger at the people that are still here affects that. The mystery of what happened, how long has this been going on? How did I miss this? The problems with the mom and the daughter, it's all a lot of conflict that not all of it is romantic. Most of it is not romantic. So that's the plot, is the how important the grieving process is, but how hard it is. It's hard anyway, but how hard it is when you introduce an emotion such as anger into the mix. And so how, adding romance in is just like another, dramatic plot point.
Going to give you an example of the internal and external that Poppy faces when she's with Hawk. And the internal is that she's supposed to remain untouched, pure, worthy of the gods, and she is drawn to Hawk. She knows he's good looking, he's charming, he's doing things that are setting her heart aflutter, and he does not think that she needs to meet these expectations. So we've got a huge problem here in this romance, because if she doesn't stay pure, she not only worries the wrath of the gods, but she's in a home with one of her antagonists. That there puts Poppy in the internal conflict with her relationship with Hawk and what she's being called to do, even though she never chose it. She was chosen for it. The external conflict comes in where they're already facing something that they believe that if Poppy can't get her stuff together and stay on top of things, this could escalate the situation with the Dark One. So now she has this external thing going on too that is also pushing her to remain in the boundaries they've set for her. So I feel like it's done so well. You never forget that Poppy should not, that it's a forbidden romance, and you never forget that they are fighting something that is not okay and doing some really crazy, terrible things around their palace. This, I think, is the most important thing about writing a romance and making sure that you are intertwining it in your plot. And that is, what are the stakes of the romance going forward? There has to be something here at stake, or it's not going to be exciting. So for Poppy, again, it goes back into what I talked about with intertwining it. Like, she needs to be worthy of these gods. And if she falls for Hawke and gives into her physical wants for Hawke, this could just set everything askew. Like, her romance with him could mess everything up. And she could risk her life because of it. So her stakes are super duper high. So I think that that right there is maybe what makes the book the most intriguing, is that those stakes for that romance are so high. So you're cheering for them, but you're not cheering for anybody to die. God, you're praying for a loophole. Where's the loophole? Because I need them to be together.
My stakes are not life and death. They're high emotional stakes. What's at stake here is Clara's relationship with her mother. Because if she keeps up this romance with Miller, her mother is not going to accept it, and that's just going to cause a bigger, rift between them. The rift is already big enough, and that's just going to add to it. Now, the other romance that I'm not going to spoil has high stakes also. Really high familial stakes here, like real high. Next time you sit down to write your romance, make sure that you do all of these things. Ask yourself all of these questions and make sure that your romance is intertwining with your plot and not the other way around. If you do that, you'll be good to go.
Look, don't be another book on Wattpad that is just people meet people and fall in love. Bad idea. You're going to be one in a million stories. Put that plot in there.
Yep.
If you want to see how we think some, romance is intertwined with some pretty amazing, extraordinary plots that are paranormal, go head over to Crystal and Felicity on Wattpad.
And don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you liked this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell so you never miss an upload. And don't forget to enter the contest to win a signed copy of Edge of the Veil, because this is your last chance.
And as always, write what you love.